Hello, we're here with BellaHoot, and we're talking about doing your dip powders with tips to make your nails longer. I started prepping them, so I'll show you what we're going to do. So what you're going to need is some files, some nail files, whichever ones you like to use. I have a French dip container that we're going to use in order to do the French tips. This is just your dip powder container because you can just save it in here too. You don't have to use it just for French tips. A fluffy brush or a nail brush. A buffer, your glue and your tips, alcohol swab, cuticle pusher or an orange stick, nail oil for when you're all done, and then we've got the dipping powder sets. Sorry, I don't want to knock over my camera, so I'll show you how that's going to work. This particular set comes with your base coat, your activator, and your top coat. And then this one has in it a very beautiful, like bubblegum sparkly pink. It has clear and it has white. So with our French tips, we're going to use the clear and the white. So let me get everything out of the way so we can get started. Okay, you're also going to need nail clippers, which I forgot, or something to cut your tips with. To start off with, I already prepped my nails, so to do that, you're going to push your cuticles back. You are going to smooth out your nails, file them as you'd like, and then you can clean with an alcohol swab. So I've already done all that stuff. You can also just use alcohol at home with like a lint-free pad there. So I've already done all the prep work there. So the next thing you're going to do is before you put any tips on, you're going to choose all 10 tips, the size that you need. And how you size them is you want to make sure that you're not having to push them down. They just need to fit right at the tip of your nail. Because if you push them down, you're going to end up with a situation where they're shaped funny. So you just want to be able to slide them right on, and they need to fit right there and not have anything over your cuticle. So once you've picked out all 10 sizes, then you're going to glue them all on. So you just take your nail glue, put it right on the end, and you want to catch all the sides though, from side to side, right on the tip. I'm having to look through the camera lens, so give me just a second. Okay, then you're going to place it right at the tip and allow it to dry. It really doesn't take that long to dry, but I'll go ahead and pause it so you don't have to watch it for the minute. Oh, maybe. So once you've given it just a minute to dry, and really when you're doing your own at home, you're going to be doing all 10 nails at once. So once you start at one nail, put your tip on and glue them all. Then by the time you get back to this side and start trimming them, it'll be dry. So now that mine is dry, I am going to take my nail clippers and just clip them to about the size that you want them. Let me close this before we make a mess. So clip them to about the size that you're wanting them. Just saves you some file time. You don't have to do this part, but it'll save you on having to file them down that far. And so as you see, I left quite a bit too much on, so I can trim one more time. I like to do it in 2 sections just so I can pull that middle part off. If you have bigger clippers or little scissors, you may not have to do it in 2 sections. So I just chose a short square tip. If you're doing like a coffin or a stiletto style, you can actually trim some of your side off going this direction. And then when you do file to shape for your pointier styles, an almond or a stiletto or a coffin shape, you're going to want to file at a diagonal and do it on each side and keep rotating, so that way you end up with even sides. So your filing is going to take the longest. If you have e-files or electric files, you can use those. For the purpose of this demonstration, I did not, just in case you don't have one at home. And mine's still really long, sorry. I'm looking through this camera lens. And again, just to save you some file time, you can trim again if needed. It's better to not trim too short, obviously, when you're first starting out, because you can always trim more off, but you can't put it back. Sorry. This is not as easy as when you're not on camera. That's why I prepped everything beforehand, so you're not having to watch me file and get them all prepped. So once you've achieved your desired length this way, we're going to buff the top out, your desired shape and length. Like I said, this will be, any filing we do is your most time-consuming part of this process. The dipping itself is super easy. So our dip powder system is super, super duper easy to do. And even adding the tips on, also very easy to do, just a little bit more time-consuming. And since my nails are so short, I really like to add a little bit of length to them. So I think we're about there. You can check them underneath to see how your length is going. Still a little bit long. File a little bit harder and faster so we can move on. Okay, so once you've prepped all 10 nails, now you've glued your tips to all 10 nails, now you've shaped all 10 nails. I'm just doing 5 again to save us some time tonight, but you are set to go there. And now the next thing you're going to do is take your buffing block and you want to buff to a smooth surface here. If you need to, if these blocks are not super gritty that I have, which I prefer because I'm not taking off too much at one time. But if you feel like your tip is just too thick and you need to take some off with the file, you can do that too. But you just want a smooth surface here, not a big ledge to try to dip on. So I don't know if you can see that, but you want to end up with a nice smooth surface. So once you've got your tips on, you've got nice smooth surfaces, they're shaped about how you'd like them, we're ready to start dipping. You can clear off any of your filings. And on the back of your starter set, if you got the starter set, it's going to have your directions. Let me see if I brought my little cheat card. I did not. So it's going to tell you that the advantages of using these are there's no UV light needed. It's easy to remove and easy to apply. You get that shiny, beautiful finish, kind of like a gel manicure that lasts over 2 weeks or up to 2 weeks. And it's very strong and durable, just like acrylics. So let's get to dipping. So your clear, I'm going to use on the bottom part of my nail here. This does not cover up any flaws or anything. If you want to use a light pink, you can. And then the white. So I'm going to fill up our French dip tray or our dipping powder tray with the white. And you want to fill it up about halfway. Try not to make a big old mess like I just did. Okay, and the more shallow end is where you're going to use it if you want. If you have shorter nails, if you have longer nails, you can use the deeper end. Okay, let me close this up so I don't make a mess. Okay, and as I mentioned, the directions are on here too. So we already prepped our nails. We're going to apply a very thin layer of the base. So here's your base coat. My top doesn't usually stay on. That's okay. Who needs a top? Okay, and the important part where you're doing all this is you always want to start on the same nail and work all your way around because that's going to give it your dry time. So you're going to apply a thin coat of base to 3/4 of your natural nail. So you're going to go all the way up to your tip. This is going to start just building your shape. And this you're going to dip into your clear or your light pink. As I mentioned, this particular set came with a beautifully sparkly pink, but it is a, it's like a bubblegum pink. So you're going to bring your powder up to you. When you shake it off, you're going to shake it straight down. That way you're getting the powder off your nail versus just jumping on top of it. I had a very thick coat of my base the first time around. So if you end up having some on your cuticle or anything, you can just use your orange stick to take it right off. Okay, and then you're just going to do that for all 10 nails. I'll get a little bit extra of the base off this time. So thin layer on 3/4 of your nail up to your tip, but not including your tip. Bring your powder up to you. Sorry. And then tap it off straight up and down. Three-quarters of your nail up to your tip, but not including. Bring your powder to you. These are things, as you do them over and over, you won't have to remind yourself these little tips that we've got. Three-quarters of your base. Woo. And just slide around when you got powder on the bottom of this cardboard that I'm using. Or signboard. Now, past your first base application, which I always forget to do, you can wipe off your brush. That way you're not getting powder on it again. So hopefully I'll remember to do that for the tutorial. I always forget to do that. It just gets color and powder inside your base and your activator and your top coat, so you don't really want to do that. Okay, so that's your first dip, and that was into the clear. Remove your excess powder. This is after doing all 10 nails. And now we're ready to dip our full nail, not just our natural nail. So this time you're going to go in with your base. And you're going to go a hairline away from your cuticle, but then the whole rest of your nail. On your shallow end of your tray, if you have shorter nails like I do, just making sure I have the right end, you're going to go into your white up to where you want your smile line. Shake it off and quickly dip into your clear or your light pink. And you don't have to worry about your powders mixing, because there's no base on top of that white to grab your clear. Repeat for all 10 fingers. So we're going to do our base on our full nail except for a hairline away from the cuticle, including your tip this time. If you get your cuticle like I just did, again, like I mentioned, just grab your orange stick. You can use a toothpick and just get it off of there. That way, hopefully, you won't get any powder all over your cuticle. Into your French dip tray or your dip powder tray to where your desired smile line is. Shake it off. I've noticed when I do this on camera, I point it towards you guys and I don't get the perfect smile line, but we'll see how it goes. Bring your clear up to you or your light pink. It's always a little more challenging when we've got when you're doing it to show someone else than if you're just doing it at home. Everything but your cuticle line. I'm going to go into your French dip tray for your smile line. Shake it off. Quickly into your clear or your light pink. Trying not to knock over your recording device. All right, 2 more to go, and if you're at home, you're doing 7 more. Everything but your hairline away from your cuticle. Into your white for your smile line. If you don't want it as curved, that's where you can use the the other side of this jar and go straight down, the deeper side. Most people seem to like the smile. Into your clear or your white, shake it off. It's a little hard to see right now, so I'll show you when we go to brush everything off. And this is your first full coat of your base. Remember, we did just our natural nail the first round, so this is your first full coat of base. Into your white for your smile line. Shake it off. I think I need a little bit more over here. And then into your clear or your light pink, whichever you prefer. Shake it off. You'll have done all 10 nails, not just 5, so now we're going to brush off our excess powder. See, now you're starting to see the French look when you get the excess powder off. All right, one more dip, and you can do up to 5 total dips. You can do more, I guess, but you're going to end up with a really thick nail. So we're going to do one more just to get that nice defined line for your French tip. So again, your hairline away from your cuticle. And you're going to want to line up your smile line again right into your powder and just try to get it where you had it before. Shake it off. Into your pink or your clear. Shake it off. So I'm only going to do the 2 full base coats and the one on the natural nail, so 3, but 2 full ones. You can do up to 4 or 5 at home. It just depends on how thick you want your nails to be. I don't like mine super thick, and I'm not going to use our electric file to, file them back down. So we'll just not make them that thick. If you need the extra strength on your tips, the longer your tips are, the more you might want to dip to. It might have a couple more layers. Mine aren't that long, so we shouldn't have as much issue. So all of your nail except for right against your cuticle line. I got my cuticle again, so I'm going to just wipe it off. Into your white. Into your clear or your light pink. So I started to mention in the beginning kind of the benefits of doing your dips, and again, there's no UV light required, so you have no curing time at all. Basically dries just while you're doing the rest of your nails. It's hard like acrylic nails, so nice and strong, but you get that gorgeous shine of a gel finish, as well as how long the manicure will last, so easily up to 2 weeks. You're really going to probably just remove them after the 2 weeks because of your grow out. It's not because they'll normally chip or break or anything. You're just going to have enough grow out where you're going to want new nails, new dips, new strips, whatever it is that you're doing next. I did not mention, I don't think yet, you do want thin, even layers when you are doing your base coat or any of your liquids. You just want thin, even layers. Try not to drop everything because you're getting powder everywhere. You will probably want like a paper towel, and I should have been wiping off my brush as I mentioned, and I forgot. I mentioned it, so at least I told you, but I did forget like I always do. And if you're sharing powders with someone too, it might be important for you to be, using a separate container That's why I like the dipping powder containers, is because they have a lid on them, so if you're sharing with anybody. Okay, so we got all of our excess powder off. We did 2 total base coats plus the one on our natural nail that we started with, and you can do more if you'd like, if you want them thicker. You can already see that I've got some thickness on there, so I personally don't want to go any more, but if you have longer nails, you can add some more thickness. So as of directions on our box, we've done our applied our base, the very thin layer, and evenly, and we've done our dip, and we repeated. So now we're going to apply activator. It says 1 to 3 times. I find, again, this is just depending on how thick your powder is. So you might need more activator if you've done more dips. So I should only need maybe 1 or 2. So this is going to start bonding your powder and make that nice hard acrylic type nail. So again, you're just going to start at the same finger you've been doing and apply your first coat. Do all 10 fingers. I would say if you're doing your natural nail and you're not using any tips, I just like to dip twice. But again, I don't like the real thick nail. If you're super hard on your nails, you might want them thicker if you just like that thicker look. But there's 1 activator, and I think I'm actually good. I don't see any parts on there that look really, really dry. So I think we're going to go right into between this activator and your next application. You could do it 1 to 3 times, like I said, and then you want to start shaping. So you're just going to make sure, however, if you've got some excess powder at the end, you get that off. If you have an uneven surface, you can file that. You can use an e-file again. I didn't do all 10 nails, so I'm just making sure that it's bonded already. You can use your electric file. Let me move this out of the way so I don't knock it over. You can use your electric file, but it's not required. You can just use a file or a buffer to get your tops smooth and all of your shaping the way you'd like it. So I think I'm going to go ahead and pause, and I'll do my shaping real quick. Just so you don't have to sit here and watch me for the next maybe 3 to 5 minutes. So once you've filed and shaped after your first application layer, and if you need to do more, you can do up to 3 layers, your application layer, activator layer. You go in again with your activator. So you're applying this to the full nail. And again, this gives you your nice hard acrylic finish. Makes them nice and strong. And I think I started mentioning you can have a paper towel down or whatever. I have my, this down, which is my work area. Because you're going to have powder everywhere. And that's okay. You'll have less powder if you don't spill it like I did at first. So you apply your activator to all 10 nails, again starting at the nail that you started with in the beginning. And once you've got it on all 10 nails and it's dry, your last step is your base. I'm sorry, your top coat. I can't talk tonight. I don't know what I'm doing a tutorial. So you're going to go in with your top coat. See if I can get it open. I had to have my husband open it the other night. That's what happens when you use it too much. Doesn't want to open. It wants a break. Okay. When you're done making a mess like me, This is where your paper towel comes in handy. I have one over here. You're going to go in with your top coat. Since I'm only doing 5 nails, this might take just a little bit longer to dry than you want, to give it your full 10 nails, and maybe even just a minute more. It only takes like a minute or two to dry. This is going to give you, look at that shine. Look at that beautiful shine. So to avoid your bottle getting all crazy like mine, try not to get the top coat everywhere. Which you probably will do better because you're not trying to do it through the computer screen or the device screen. We're going to give that a second to dry, and then I'll go in with one more top coat. But you get the idea right there. Absolutely gorgeous French tips at home. If I apply the second top coat, and I'm all set. You also, at the very end, can go in with your nail oil. I'll go ahead and tell you about this, and then I'll do my second layer so I can tell you about this. Your nail oil, whatever kind you have, or we have them, you just want to go into your cuticles, and then you're going to massage it into your nails, and that way it re-nourishes your nails after you put on all this beautiful dipping powder and liquids to keep your cuticles nice and healthy. So even this Hot Mess Express over here can do a beautiful manicure at home in what? We're almost at a half hour, but that only thing I did beforehand was my tips and my filing, which you noticed doesn't really take all that long. I just didn't want to have you watch me go through all 10. So we only did 5 and I prepped them beforehand. Look how gorgeous that is. So as soon as it's dry, you can go in with your nail oil. And I'll show you on my other nail, just so I can give this a little bit longer to dry. You can go into your cuticles all the way around. If it's not wet enough, you can just turn it for these ones. If you have a nail pen like I do. Go all the way around your cuticle, and then you can massage it down. I have real brittle nails if you can't tell, so I like to just put it all over my nail, whichever way you'd like. And you are all set. Absolutely gorgeous. Thank you so much for watching.